My name is Caleb, and in May of 2019, I had the privilege of moving to a brand new country for the very first time after living in Melbourne for the majority of my life. You may be wondering, where did I move to? And that would be Japan. So yeah, very different country to say the least. Public transport, a lot of people there, to say the minimum, I guess, 38 million people at the time. Yeah, it was very, very different. So today, through the recollection of memories and talking to a few people that I became close with while I was over there that I met, and what they really took out of it. So yeah, I hope you enjoy, and hopefully you can learn something about Japan along the way if you didn't already know a lot about the country.
Hello everyone. My name is Hampus and I'm originally from Sweden. I have lived 4 years of my life in Japan, from when I was 12 to 16 years old, and that's where I met Caleb. My first 2 years of living in Japan, I went to the school called Tokyo International School, and then the second 2 years of my life that I lived in Japan, I went to Aoba International School, and that's where I met Caleb Baker.
So before moving to Japan, what were your initial thoughts of the country? What did you expect initially before arriving in Japan?
Good question. Before moving to Japan, I thought much of the food of Japan, because you've got sushi, you got ramen, you've got yakiniku, yakitori, all this good food. So I was really looking forward to having Japanese food. However, before moving to Japan, I didn't like sushi, but after living there for 4 years, now I love sushi. In movies, Japan is always presented as this, the neon signs, and the long streets that you see in movies. That's kind of what I thought of Tokyo. Yeah, I just thought of, Japan, not Tokyo, the most populated city in the world, I believe. So, I thought there would be many people there, and there is many people in Japan, and in Tokyo. I don't know, this was like 6 years ago, I believe. Yeah, it was 6 years ago that I moved to Japan. So I don't quite remember so much of what I thought of Japan before I went there, apart from the food and what you see in movies. So those were my initial thoughts before moving to the country.
Adding on to the question I just asked, what was the first thing you noticed that was different from your home country of Sweden?
Oof. The very first thing, I think this is obviously the climate you feel, I'm from Sweden, so currently, I won't take the degrees right now, but Sweden is a lot colder than Japan generally. However, they do get, if you go up north in Japan, it can get as cold as Sweden. But in Tokyo, compared to Stockholm, where I'm from, I think Stockholm gets colder than Tokyo generally. But actually, I don't think so much, but I think a little. So, obviously the climate. And also in the summer, the Tokyo summers are a lot hotter than Swedish summers and Stockholm summers, which at first I thought it was a bit too hot because it's very humid as well. But I learned to like the weather and the heat in Japan after living there. So, I was there this summer, and I love the 30-degree plus weather, but back to what I noticed, obviously the climate. But then also the safety and the public transport, so different from Sweden. The public transport is not so different, but it's so much more developed in Tokyo. So it's so nice, you can, wherever you are in Tokyo, you can just take a train somewhere else in Tokyo. And it's so well designed, in my opinion.
And then I guess with all the public transport and stuff, it's kind of crazy how you could take a train within 2 hours, you're on the other side of the country, isn't it? So
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Next question is, what was your favourite city that you visited, whether you lived there or went there on a holiday? So I guess obviously we both lived in Tokyo, so elaborating on, living there, and then also maybe your favourite city that you visited as well.
I loved staying in Tokyo. Tokyo, the time of my life, my best 4 years of my life so far. My friends were amazing, including Caleb Baker, of course.
Thank you.
Also the education, it was very, very good, but I went to 2 private schools, and it was all funded by the Swedish government, so I don't complain at all. It was very nice, education very nice, and very nice people. I would have to decide on a favorite city. I would probably say, I'm pretty sure I'd say Tokyo. There is a group of islands called Ishigaki. No, Okinawa. If you go south of Japan, there's this, I think the city is called Ishigaki. On Okinawa.
Separate island, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So the final question is, if you had to give a person who was moving to Japan advice about the country, or just moving overseas to another country in general, what would your advice be for them?
Difficult question. Go outside, explore Tokyo. Very many beautiful places in Japan. If you know people who like anime, I'm not so much a fan myself, but the stuff you see in anime, it looks like that in Japan. It looks like that in real life as well. If you go to Japan, there are very beautiful scenes you see in anime. Yeah, go outside, explore Tokyo and Japan. Very beautiful country.
Because like we were talking just before, obviously we weren't talking about this during this interview, but it's crazy how much there is to do in Japan that you can't, you go on a holiday, you obviously can't fit all that within a 2-week period. But if you go there for say 18 months or 4 years in your case, you'll probably be able to cover off most of the city. Obviously, like I said, there'll be some things that you don't experience. So for me, for example, would be the Shibuya Sky, which is one of the largest observation decks there. But at the same time, you go to the Sky Tree, the Tokyo Tower. So it's definitely one of a kind of a city, that's for sure. Thank you for your time today, Hampus. Very good to talk to you. And I'm sure,
you too, man.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see you in Sweden sometime soon. So
exactly. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for having me, Caleb. And I'll come to Australia and visit you someday as well.
For sure.
My name is Omar Witegetsimana. I'm from Rwanda in the East Africa. Spent 3 years living in Japan. I think that the first time I came to meet you, I was with your mom. We came to your school at one of the international schools in Tokyo. So that's where I met you for the first time. But before, I've already met your mom at the international, the IT summit that were happening in Tokyo.
So before moving to Japan, what were your initial thoughts of the country?
Well, I had a lot of things. Also, what I used to hear, so for example, what I used to see on the internet, people say, oh, Japan is not a very good place for the foreigners, that they are racist, that they don't welcome people to come in the country. Things like that. I don't think it was the truth after arriving there.
And then the next question is, what was the first thing you noticed that was different from your home country of Rwanda?
The first thing I noticed by just arriving in Japan was it was my first time to see many people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Japanese are many everywhere. I love to see the city, to be honest, just the city of Japan, it was so clean place. Everywhere, very nice place. Very nice place, just a place where everybody could wish to go and see how it's so clean.
What was your favorite city that you visited? So whether you live there, obviously Tokyo, or a city that you went to on a holiday?
I can say that so far I've traveled a lot in one of the best cities, some of the best cities in the world, Helsinki, Paris, many places. But it's not that I used to live in Japan that I'm going to say that Japan is the best place. Tokyo is the best place. To be honest, I haven't seen somewhere yet like Tokyo. Tokyo is the best.
Moving on to the final question. If you had to give a person who was moving to Japan advice about the country, or just moving overseas in general, which I know obviously you've moved quite a lot in and around the world. So what would your advice be to people that are moving to a new country for the first time?
First of all, let me talk on the side of Japan. As I said, before I moved there were a lot of things I used to hear from the internet, but it's so different with what I saw there. For me, I think Japan is one of the best places in the world to be. What I will advise somebody moving to Japan is, Japanese are people that they have said their things. I don't say that the other places they don't. But the first thing I saw in Japan is respect the culture. So if you're going to Japan, make sure you are going to respect their culture, which is good, and that is going to help you. And what I should advise to the people to go outside is just, it depends on what you're going to do there, but everywhere you go, make sure you respect their culture, respect their rules and law, and everything is going to be easy for you.
Thank you very much for your time today, Omar. It was very nice to talk to you again, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you very much.